Hey everybody, I'm Somebody, and today we're ranking all 25 levels of the Mastery perks in 7 Days to Die, going from the very bottom of the barrel, heaping pile of garbage, to the very tip-top amazing perks most people should go through in their playthrough. No perk is a guaranteed thing for every playthrough people go through. I want to be clear though, just because something's a tier 5 does not mean I'm weighting it more or less. These are compared directly to each other. The fact that you have to go through 4 other levels to get to one instead of just getting at level 6 for another one is not factoring in here. It is looking at the skill itself, assuming that you are using it in a playstyle that makes sense for what you are doing. If you're going into perception skills, it's got to help with the perception skill tree. If that makes sense, let's get on to it with agility, starting with bleeding hearts. Bleeding hearts sounds like it's really good. Handguns now cause bleeding, and you might think about it from the knife skill tree, and sounds like that's really, really good. The issue with handguns now cause bleeding is the fact that unless you are investing in knives, bleeding only stacks one time. And bleeding activates very slowly. It is 1 point of damage per second for 20 seconds. And if you shoot them again with another handgun, it just simply restarts that timer. It is not 2 instances of bleeding happening at the same time. So at the end of it, you're just doing 20 additional damage if you survive and run away for 20 seconds, which I'm going to be honest, that's not worth it, especially since you should be aiming for stealth kills with a pistol and the agility playstyle, trying to drag something out over time. It's just not it. And number 24 is Vital Wound. It's another one that just causes bleed damage, which, as I said, is 1 point per second for 20 seconds. If you hit him again, it just restarts the timer. You're nowhere near the knife skill. You're not really specialized in bleeding. The reason why I have this higher is that at least with the spear, you don't need to use ammo with this. So if you do get it kind of earlier on, it's okay. But it is something that just hitting them a second time is going to do more damage. It is able to be nice to try to do this with like a rifle, I guess, which at that point is also using an even more expensive bullet. But at least then it's able to be at a distance, and while they're running to you with how much range you're able to have on a rifle, they're taking slow amounts of damage, but it is not enough damage. If this was something that would cause bleeding and stacks up to even just 3 times, I would say this is a much better perk, but the way it is now, this ain't it, dog. And number 23 is Snare Shot. Unfortunately, agility is kind of getting slammed here early on, but the issue with Snare Shot is simply this is able to be a good effect. You know, leg hits have a 40% chance to instantly cripple enemies. That's a good skill. The issue is why are you aiming for the legs when their face is right there? You have a 40% chance to make it so they can't run after you, or you could shoot them in the face and make it so they stop running after you. And number 22, though, is the Battle Miner, which I'm going to be honest with you, being able to do that upgrade damage with pickaxes and shovels, it's nice for a panic response, but otherwise, I'm going to be honest with you. What does this really do? It doesn't replace your weapons, because it doesn't do as much damage as a traditional weapon does. It just does a little bit more. On screen, you're going to see the numbers here of how much it was doing better with steel level 6 tools. This is the most damage scale you can get out of this. It does not feel like, I thought it might compare to like a spear, a club, maybe some knuckles, but like it kind of just is the bottom of the barrel, but the bottom of the barrel was lifted up some. It is not a great improvement. I thought this was going to make it so these were going to be alternatives. You didn't have to bring a weapon with you, but it really is not as much of an improvement. You don't get any benefits. There's no combat perks based around this, so it's a perk, and it can help for panic moments of if you're mining out like an iron ore node and you're deep underground, something falls in, you freak out, hit it with your pickaxe, you might get a one shot, which might be nice, but the odds of that are not common. At this point, I feel like I should clarify that I have a little bit of bias with this. I like things that help me progress the game. I like staying alive, and I like to have freedom in my perks, and I think that comes down to this as well, of the freedom aspect of why Blood Rush here is ranked 21. Blood Rush is sprinting power attacks with spears deal 25% more damage, and that is the most niche specific thing for a 25% damage boost. 25% damage, it is a nice damage boost. I will be honest, it is good, but it is only on not just spear attacks or sprinting spear attacks, but sprinting power attacks. It is a very specific thing that, while yes, you are using a spear, it might come up, but the issue is that the fact that you have to be sprinting while power attacking means you are not doing this on repeat in a room with a bunch of zombies. You aren't doing this on loop while you're in tight corridors and some of these tier 5 POIs that are like residential base. It is very difficult to do this repeatedly. And also, to sprint in power attack means you're kind of going against the playstyle of Spear, where it's all about spacing and distance and being able to poke your enemy while away from them. This kind of goes counterintuitive to the Spear skill tree and Perception skill tree as a whole. And that's why it's ranked at number 21. Now, I want to be very honest and clear with you. I do love the agility playstyle. I just don't know what exactly happened with these. But now that we're out of the bottom 5, we're right back to the agility skill tree with Piercing Precision. This is our first tier 5, and it is just a little bit disappointing. So once again, it is that specific situation does 25% more bonus, but it does ignore armor now. This is a solid perk, but the issue is it's fully drawn bow shots, which means it doesn't apply to a crossbow. Bypass enemy armor, which most zombies don't have armor, dealing full damage plus an extra 25%. Now, those that do have armor, this is able to help. You're able to get through that. You're able to hopefully get some one-shots. This is really able to be good for especially those of you that are doing a stealth playthrough. I will say this does complement the agility skill tree, but the fact that it has to be a completely fully drawn bow shot, which means this is not a panic reaction. You do not have this as a, oh crud, what's going on reaction. Bypassing enemy armor is nice, but not all enemies have armor. Most standard zombies do not. Even a lot of the tough ones like Big Mom and Taurus don't really have armor. And then dealing extra 25% damage is nice. It is a good bonus, but I don't believe it is enough of one. Number 19, we're getting to our first intellect mastery perk, which is Master Pilot. I do think this is able to be a decent perk. I just don't think it is that impactful or important. Vehicles take 20% less damage is nice. We all know how easy it is to end up breaking your stuff just naturally traveling the area. You don't even have to actually run into something or hit a zombie, and you'll still be noticing that your vehicle HP is lower than when you left. Consuming less fuel is able to be nice. There are mods for these things, though. There are ways you can upgrade this. I naturally would end up, just because mastery is something that I don't dive into as fast as I possibly can, I might even have some of those mods or the ability to buy them from a trader before I would actually get this perk to be able to do these sorts of things. It is able to be good. It's especially good before you get the chemistry station, but as the game goes on, this gets less and less important. And I'm going to be honest, it is not that difficult to craft a repair kit. The vehicle damage is annoying, but this isn't game changing. And number 18 is Brass Miner. So the thing with Brass Miner is it adds a 5% chance to gain scrap brass when harvesting ore blocks. So first off, specific is you can't just be digging in the dirt. You can't just be digging stone. That's fine, I believe. You know, most of the time when we're digging, it is for ore, or if you're digging out an area. That's not what Strength Tree is about, so that's fine. If you want to terraform and blow stuff up, that's more in the Perception skill tree. This is specifically all about harvesting items and strength. So this really does match the strength playstyle. This matches the person that'd be going out and digging. This does work, but the 5% chance to gain scrap brass, the 5% chance is a decent number. Over time, this is going to supplement your brass income. The thing is with this is I have never been low on brass while playing this game. There are books you're able to get where you get scrap brass from things like doors. Brass is not super uncommon in loot. You're able to find it from bags that are dropped from zombies. Brass is not super rare. And the thing is that it does fluctuate. So I did this test 2 times, once with a steel pickaxe and once with an auger. With the steel pickaxe, I got about 20% of what I mined. I mined 1,000 nitrate with each. With the steel pickaxe, I got about 200 brass. With the auger, I got about 100, which is nice, but I don't think this is long-term really going to change how you play the game. As we get further into these perks, we're getting into the area where these are nice bonuses. You know, Master Pilot, Brass Miner, these were nice little bonuses, and it continues with the first of the Fortitude perks of Antibodies. Antibodies is once you recover from an infection, you're immune for a further infection for 2 real-world hours, which is genuinely nice. On standard daytime, this is 2 in-game days that you just don't get infections. Now, traditionally in this game, you know, going around the first few days, chopping a few stumps, getting a few things of honey, an herbal antibiotic or a bionic from a quest reward, or finding it while looting a hospital or popping pills. Normally, an infection is not very difficult to take care of, but just being immune for 2 hours, it's a nice little bonus. It doesn't really do anything, but it is nice to have. You're not going to have to worry about another thing that's popping up on the side. And Fortitude's all about survival with pain tolerance and things like that. It's another thing you're at least temporarily immune to. Someone out there is going to tell me that I absolutely hate the agility tree for some reason, even though I really, really love the agility playstyle, and it's what I've done forever. I just don't think these perks are really well optimized for this. Is that rapid reload is our number 16. Rapid reload is handguns reload 20% faster. You'll see on screen here, it's pipe pistol. Slowest reload there is. Testing this with versus, you know, like having 0 points into gunslinger versus 5 points in gunslinger and how fast it's able to be. And it's just something that, you know, it is a nice bonus, but I'm going to be honest, most of them, you know, a magazine extender is more important than this. So, and obviously, you know, this scales with magazine extender and being able to shoot more shots and a faster reload to get more shots out. It is nice. I can't get behind this. It's not anything crazy special. It does increase your DPS slightly. And with the run and gun, you know, you're able to continue going along speedily without having to worry about the reload and all that. And you're able to get reloaded faster, get back to shooting. It is nice, and it does help with the panic moment, because let's just be honest, this game does cause panic moments when you're not thinking clearly, things just go terribly. This is really, really good for that, but it's not astounding, and I don't feel like it does a ton. Up here at number 15 is Cushion Crawler. Now, I'm going to be honest, I do think this is a fairly good perk, but I just think money is such a non-issue in this game, personally. Everyone plays this game differently. I don't utilize the traders possibly as much as I should, so maybe I am out of line here, but I don't think a few extra dollars or dukes from dismantling a couch, a bed, a basket, a cart, I don't think this is going to drastically change what happens in your game. It is a nice little bonus, a little surplus, but a lot of times when I would take apart maybe a shopping cart, a couch, or a bed, it's around $11 and around the same amount of dukes, which is nice. And over the course of a long playthrough, you know, every little bit does add up, but I think just putting a point into better barter might actually net you more money long-term, and that's not as heavy of an investment to get to as it is with this. Obviously, all the mastery perks, you got to get to level 6 to be able to even put a point in, and there are other perks that I think just do this better that are available earlier that would start that scaling and help a lot faster. But it is still a good perk. After this, and I do think I'm going to get some questions about this, I'm going to be honest, is Genius Fury in the Intelligence Mastery perks, which is stun batons only take 2 hits to charge, which means every other hit is charged. The only reason it's this low, because this is an amazing perk. This is an amazing perk. The issue is Baton Master, the next level is it's always charged. This is the only perk in the game that is rendered ineffective once you hit a certain level. Every other perk stays effective. Every other perk does something except this one. This one eventually just gets replaced. And so it's only good for a few levels. Because if you want that Baton Master, it is 3 more level ups to go from level 9 to level 10. And then a 4th point into Baton Master. So there is 4 in-game levels of this being relevant until it's just useless and gone. And was a stepping stone to the next thing. And because of that, I don't think it's as big. This is the one time, you know, I've been saying where I'm not really comparing level 1 to level 5. This is the one time where if this was level 2, this would actually be higher on the tier list because you'd have a lot more levels of it doing something before it was dismissed. Number 13, I think, is one of the best perks for panic options, which is that it does something for you automatically. Bleed Stopper in the Fortitude skill tree means you will instantly stop bleeding without using a bandage if you kill an enemy. Essentially what this means is when you are in the Fortitude skill tree, you are normally tanking damage quite often. You're not trying to dodge as much. You're getting hit, and those critical injuries do a lot. And bleeding is probably the most scary. You get a laceration, you're bleeding out, it's getting really bad. You know, the screen's going that grayscale and blood's flooding in, all that. But if you were bleeding, that means there was something to make you bleed. And if you kill that, the bleeding stops automatically. Yes, all it does is save a bandage, but to be able to stop and apply that bandage while fighting is dangerous. And this means that you can do that without having to take that break from getting damage out to make yourself stop bleeding. I think it's really, really good. And it also means that you might start bleeding and your next hit kills a zombie and you didn't even notice that it actually activated because of how quickly it resolved, which is able to be really nice. Number 12, also in the Fortitude skill tree, is the Dentist. Very similar to the Cushion Crawler. It is an economic booster. But this one I think is a lot better because when it comes to the cushion crawler, you are seeking out certain items that you're disassembling that you might not normally. I very rarely, while going through a POI, get excited about taking apart a couch. I don't look at shopping baskets and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna disassemble that. I don't take apart shopping carts. You do kill zombies in this game. Fun fact, little known detail about 7 Days to Die. You kill zombies. And you have a 10% chance to either gain silver or gold from this, and it's just a decent money booster. Silver and gold sell for a decent amount. It is, I think, a lot better than the cushion crawler, where it's just a little bit for the couches and all that. This, it's 10% of the time. It's less often than 100%, but I do think overall it generates more money, and you're already killing zombies. Why not get paid for it? After this is where we're getting into really some good stuff. This is just outside the top 10. At number 11 is Adrenaline Berserker. This is where things got kind of difficult to compare which one was best. Adrenaline Berserker, though, kills with strength-based weapons grant 25% damage resistance for 5 seconds. This is equivalent to a couple points into the pain tolerance. This is equivalent to having decent, better armor than you do. It lasts 5 seconds, which in that time, if you're using like the sledgehammer, you should get another kill in that time if you're still in combat. And it essentially means once you get a kill in that combat, you have 25% damage resistance. It is a very, very good damage mitigation perk. I think it is one of the best buffs in the game. I naturally prioritize some other things over this, but I gotta be honest, this is a really, really good, strong perk. Now that we're getting into the top 10, these are perks that I think if you are able to afford the dip, which I want to make it clear, masteries are not something you normally dip into, but let's say you are already at level 5, going a couple points into it for something a little bit higher could be worth it. These are very, very good perks, and we're starting off with Salvage Specialist under Perception. Salvage Specialist is you harvest steel from cars, gun safes, and shopping carts. The fact that you can harvest steel from cars is insane. Everyone takes apart cars. It's something that you do for most of the game. Looking for gas before the chem station, looking for batteries and engines when you get into making traps or you're making your own vehicles. You're naturally taking apart cars anyways. Gun safes and shopping carts are a little bonus. Getting steel from this means that, first off, it replaces the Crucible during your early and mid game, where it's difficult to get a Crucible because of how expensive it is. And even when you do get a Crucible, it means you have less time you're waiting on your forge. The amount of times that I have been playing this game and I miscounted how much steel I need for, let's say, upgrading my horde base, I'm just a few short and I have to run back to my base, because I do horde base and base separately. You should too. Don't take a dump where you eat. And I have to run back and I have to wait for the steel to come out, and then I got to run back and upgrade that block, when in reality I could just go a little bit down the road and take apart 2 or 3 cars and have enough. It's amazing to me. I really do think this is a huge bonus. And it's something that, every car I took apart, it got me at least 3 or 4 steel on the low end, which does not sound like a lot, but cars are really plentiful in this game. There's a lot of steel just to be had just from walking around, and it is a pretty solid perk. Going back to the intelligence skill tree for perk number 9 is Bookworm. Bookworm adds a 25% chance to find a book, magazine, or schematic and loot, which I think is amazing. If this was purely magazines, I think it would actually be higher, and let me explain why. Finding an additional book doesn't do anything. Finding an additional schematic doesn't do anything other than a little bonus to experience. Finding 25% more is great, but it's split among 3 different categories, which obviously the odds are weighted slightly differently, but does mean that about 16% of the time you're finding books and schematics that you might have already read, and due to the nature of just what the progression curve is and how long you can stay at a certain loot level where you can't find perks that you haven't already gathered, means that you are sitting here with books and schematics that you might end up either just reading for the experience, you might sell for a little bit of petty cash, but the fact, anything that can speed up the magazine progression in this game, I think is always going to be wonderful. The fact that when we swapped over from it being skill-based of points, specifically in intelligence tree to magazines, I think was good to replace the intelligence, as it was a reliance on everyone had to go to a slight intellect build. But the magazine system is cumbersome. There's a lot of things that you have to sit here and wait in this game to unlock, and you have no control over it. This gives you a little bit of an edge in that, and for that reason, I think it deserves the level 9 spot. Number 8 is actually kind of a shout out to a lot of the community I've gotten to meet in the 7 Days to Die community since I started doing 7 Days to Die YouTube. All critical injuries heal 100% faster when holding a mining tool for miner's mending. is a great perk. And the reason why I put this as high as I do is the fact that the amount of people I see in the comments talking about how they have a reliance on the intelligence tree for physician and having to go so deep into the intellect tree to get physician level 3 so they can instantly heal breaks is really tough. And I do get that. But the fact that you can go into strength mastery, you just get through the rest of your day, go to strength mastery, you hold your shovel while you're at your base, either cleaning up, organizing, getting some crafting done. And by the time it's daybreak, you're healed up or pretty much all the way there, even without a cast to help speed it up in the first place, is wonderful. And that's not even counting the fact that this helps with all critical injuries. The fact that if you get a concussion, it lasts an hour and 40 minutes. And if you don't have a painkiller, this cuts it down to 50 minutes. And that's assuming you don't have any of the perks, like with pain tolerance, it speeds it up as well. Lacerations and bleeding heal faster with this. A lot of things I heal faster just by holding a tool, and that is amazing. It does help a lot. It makes it so you're able to get back to the game faster, because a lot of the debuffs in this game essentially just tell you to go into timeout for a little bit in a lot of regards, and this gets you out of that faster, which I think is really, really good. Is it as good as the physician skill tree? No, I don't think so, but you're able to get to this faster than healing breaks in physician, which is insane to me. Up next, the final one in the agility skill tree, which makes me sad. I wish agility made it even farther, is at number 7, Spectre's Grace. I want to make it very clear, though. This is an amazing perk. I think this deserves a ton of respect. This is an amazing, amazing perk. But I do think that everything else on this list is better. Spectre's Grace means that every 60 seconds you get a free hit, and then it will recharge. So if you get hit by a zombie or an animal, to be very clear, this does not work on traps, if you run into your own spikes, if you step on a landmine, but zombie or animal attacks, the first time they would hit you does not connect. And then after 60 seconds, it'll happen again. This pairs really, really well with the agility skill tree of you sneaking and stealthing around that assassin playstyle, because most likely you're taking most things out with a bow shot from range, or you walked up with your machete, and you're getting things handled. And then when things go south, a lot of times it's when you're walking up with that knife or close quarters with a bow, and you ended up stepping on something you didn't realize, or you were just loud enough or just bright enough, and a zombie wakes up and goes up to hit you. You get one free shot, and then you're able to run away and attempt again in a little bit. It gives you so much flexibility. It will prevent so much damage. And with the agility skill tree, getting hit more than once is not as common. Normally you get hit once and you back off and you break out your pistol or whatever it might be and try to handle it like that. This makes it so you're not even hit once. It is really, really strong. I think 60 seconds is a great recharge time. I think it's balanced really well around that. And the fact that you can use parkour to get up high and get away from anything that doesn't have a ranged attack or from vultures/spiders, I mean, it's a combo made in heaven. Up next, and this I think is going to be controversial, is the final perk of perception, which is level 5, long shot. Long shot is very simple. Rifle shots deal 50% more damage. Now, while we're here, I just want to remind you, the one before this is Blood Rush. Sprinting power attacks with spears deal 25% more damage. You have to be sprinting, you have to be power attacking, has to be with a spear, does 25% more damage. Long shot is double the amount of damage, and it's all the shots. The reason why this is as high is I want you to just think about all the combat perks. If you max out Deadeye, at the end of it at level 5, which is the same level you can get this because you have to be level 10 perception overall, rifles deal 50% more damage. And then you get this for it to be another 50% more damage. This is equivalent to putting 5 skill points into Deadeye for the damage side of things. That is astounding. The additional damage that this grants you, I think, is something that is not talked about enough. I think this is a wonderful perk. I think this makes it so going through the rest of the perception mastery, if this was ranked by category, makes everything else in this a lot more useful and a lot more approachable. Vital Wound would still be very, very low. I want to make that very clear. I know you haven't heard me say it in a minute. Bleeding damage sucks if it's not with a knife. Up next is the final one of the strength tree, which is Headhunter. Headhunter is insane. Headshots with clubs or sledgehammers have an additional 50% chance to dismember enemies. Headshots to dismember, that means they're gone. That means they're all done. It's a 50% chance to dismember. You are killing things faster. If you kill things faster, you take less damage. Simple as that. It is a great perk. It almost undermines Adrenaline Berserker because you're killing so quickly. I don't know if you're even getting hit to take advantage of the damage resistance. Headhunter having an additional 50% chance to dismember their faces. All right, so we're into number 4, and this is where I think my bias is going to be loud. And I think I am going to get called out on this, and I encourage you to. My current playthrough is Knuckles. I am punching everything. That is what I am doing. That is what I am enjoying right now. I might be biased with this. I never said I wasn't going to be. Number 4 and number 3, kind of tied for the 3rd place, bronze on the podium, Unbreakable and Resilience. They both permanently add additional 50 max health to you. And they stack. So at level 4, you get 50, and at level 5, it becomes a total of 100 max health. Each of these are 50 level ups worth of health. 50. Do you know how you get this faster than you get 50 level ups? This is an insane health bonus that frankly nothing else in the game really gives you this much. Yes, there is some armor combinations that can give you a lot of health, but none of it I think compares to the fact that you're able to just grab 2 perks in this and hit 100 health. This is an insane bonus. I think it's really, really good. I understand other people might disagree with me. I think other people might think I'm overvaluing this. This makes you stay alive. It's amazing. In 2nd place, we have Baton Master. This is where Genius Fury was stepping into, and why Genius Fury is lower is that it's just not used once you get this. Stun Baton Charge is always ready. The Stun Baton is the greatest mitigator and control weapon in the game. Intelligence is all about control. Battlefield control, supporting, it is the support class of 7 Days to Die. And what this does is makes it so you can support yourself. Everything you hit gets stunned. Now, obviously, there's some things like with the charged zombies that they get unstunned, unelectrified faster, but they're still stunned for a little bit. Everything's stunned. You're able to eventually craft a repulsor mod so you knock them away and they're stunned, and you're able to just handle your stuff. It's a really, really strong perk. You're able to make everything fly away from you. You have so many options to be able to just lock things down. I even think about sometimes taking the repulsor mod out just so they stay nearby so you can continuously hit one instead of having to continuously chase it down. It is such a good perk. And if you get swarmed after a few hits, you're no longer swarmed and they're dealing with it. Finally, some people I think may tell me I'm overvaluing this, but at 1st place, photographic memory. 50% chance against 2 skill points when reading magazines. It is a very specific thing, and I will be honest, I might be overvaluing this because at some point you're done reading magazines in this game, and that means that this perk is no longer useful. But getting to that point faster is just amazing. I don't know anyone in this community that thinks the magazine system is perfect, and being able to get through it faster to get those things crafted that you want to get crafted faster is so much better. Those of us with a lot of experience in this game and have been playing since the early alphas know that it used to be something that you can get crafting items very early on. I remember crafting gyrocopters before 2 weeks in. It's a lot harder to do that now because you got to go find how many books to be able to do that. It's an insane amount of vehicle adventure books that you got to go get, and this cuts that number down by approximately 2/3. I think this is amazing. You get the level 6 nerd armor, and it becomes a 100% chance to gain 2 skill points when reading magazines. It's just an amazing perk, and I think it's not talked about enough, and that's why it's my number 1. Down in the comments, though, let me know where I was absolutely insane, off base. Let me know in the comments. Please be respectful, but you know what, guys? Go down there and argue. Let me know what I did wrong. If there's enough things that I did wrong, I'd love to be able to do another one of these where it's community rank instead of what I have to say, because I'm just one person. I'd love to be able to be a spot where we can all talk about this game together, so please go down to the comments, talk respectfully. You can yell at me and do a couple cheap shots. I'm okay with it. I got thick skin. Thank you guys so very much. I really do appreciate it. Hope you have a good one. Don't break your ankle.